people should do in order to save money and effectively budget?
To start with, you can only save money if you have income. That's the number one thing. So,
Okay.
as an individual, you have to have something that you are doing. You know, if you are working or probably you are doing business, you just
Mm-hmm.
have to engage in an activity that will generate funds.
Economic activity.
Yeah, so that's one thing.
Mm-hmm. Everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chisom Obiro. As you know, I'm continuing my series and I brought someone again along to talk us through navigating personal finance. So if this is what you're looking out for, you should stay tuned. Anyway, so I'll allow my guest introduce himself. He has a background in finance and he has worked also for the Ministry of Finance in Sierra Leone. So more reason why I brought him here, because I think that he will be able to share information and also insights that might help young people actually manage their finances more properly and in a more better way. So over to you, Solomon.
My name is Solomon Yaski. I'm a Sierra Leonean, and
Mm-hmm.
I studied at University of Sierra Leone, IPAM, Financial Services,
Mm-hmm.
and I've worked with Ministry of Finance, and I've also worked with King Davidson Agriculture Construction Company as administrative officer, and then also with Save the Children as supervisor. And
Mm-hmm.
then I now moved to Cyprus to further my studies. I studied MBA in Cyprus at NIS University, and then I now moved to the UK, where I pursue an MSc International Banking Finance, Gigs and Regulation.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, so that's how we met.
Yeah.
Interestingly. So it just goes to say how that's used to actually further our education and just keep pushing and keep developing ourselves. Anyway, do you think that there's a difference, or could you just talk us through? Some people might mistake finance for accounting. Like, what exactly is the difference between perhaps managing your books in accounting and then managing your finances as a young person?
To start with, the word finance mean managing funds and how you allocate those funds in terms of investment.
Mm-hmm.
And then accounting basically talks about how you take records of business activities in terms of their transactions. And so finance basically, it doesn't necessarily mean only organization that do need to have understanding about finance. Even individuals, we also have to practice finance. So finance basically is about managing your funds and how you allocate those funds in terms of investments, and in terms of risks also. Yeah.
Cool, cool. So if it's what you're interested in, this kind of juice, just stay tuned. We'll be back. Put down a couple of questions to ask him and see what he thinks, his perspective about those questions. So the first one will be that how can individuals, actually young people, effectively budget and save money in uncertain economic times? So what do you think that people should do in order to save money and effectively budget?
To start with, you can only save money if you have income. That's the number one thing. So,
Okay.
as an individual, you have to have something that you are doing. You know, if you are working or probably you are doing business, you just
Mm-hmm.
have to engage in an activity that will generate funds.
Economic activity.
Yeah, so that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So once you have that, you have something you are doing and you are receiving income,
Yeah.
you have to prioritize savings. You know, the world we are living currently, both in the UK, America, even in Africa, you know, it's very uncertain. You cannot predict the future. Even analysts, it's very hard for them to predict the
Yeah.
future. So you have to budget for savings. So let's
That you will
assume,
not touch.
yeah, that you not. So let's assume you
Yeah.
are receiving a basic salary of 100,000 naira. That was your currency,
Yeah.
right?
100,000 naira is too small. Look for a bigger money, like 1 million.
Yeah. So let's
For start.
yeah, it's just an example.
Yeah.
So let's assume you're receiving 100,000 naira as an income monthly.
Yeah.
You know, no matter your expense for the month, just try to save at least, even if it's 10,000 or 5,000 naira monthly. You know, and then that saving, you have to be disciplined enough in the sense that you should not withdraw from the money. You
Yeah.
know, for just simple or things that will come up. For example, Chisom, I will just call, hey, Chisom, please, can we go out tonight? I have this. Hey, Solomon, you can call me. Then you now remove from the savings. But no problem, I can just do it for you. No, no, no. You should not do that. So you should have that discipline. If it takes you for you to just have a special savings account, make sure you don't have the card
A
with
card
you.
to it, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so that's one way you would just, try to so you have to save money. Yeah, that's the number one thing. And then you have to also have secondary income, like something you are doing, you know, with the exception of your main income, because the money you are saving also probably, for example, the currencies we have in Africa do depreciate. So I would advise anyone, if you are saving also, you have to save in a safe currency.
The safe currency.
Yeah,
So give us examples of the safe currencies.
like all these international foreign currency, like the US dollar, pounds, or euro. These are the three international foreign currencies we have. So
Yeah.
you have to save in this currency. Over time, your money will appreciate. Instead of you save in your local currency, it will depreciate no matter how long you save it. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So if you're watching from any part of the world, an action step will be that go and register for a foreign account. For instance, you can register for a US account or a UK account or just a pound account. If you're anywhere in the world, you can just walk into a bank and take your details and register. You don't have to put in a lot of money. You just need to have that account there and you can begin to save like change and then
yeah.
fund the account. So the second point, or rather the second question that I'll be asking is that discuss the impact of inflation on personal finances and what are the strategies to mitigate the effects of inflation on saving. But
Um,
first, I would like if you explain perhaps the meaning of inflation to our viewers. Perhaps we have people watching from different parts, and then so they can really understand.
the word inflation means the continuous increase in price, of commodities or goods and services.
Yeah,
So to navigate that, in this current uncertainty, situation that we are in,
yeah,
in terms of economics, um, what you should do investment. So I would advise anybody, no matter what, you have to invest in probably a real estate, buy property somewhere, no matter the location, you know, even if the location doesn't have potential, but just make sure you invest in any land, and then also just try so that you have documentation of that property also, because we hear lots of stories out there. So once you invest in probably a land or something, because even the money you are saving, with time it will not appreciate
yeah,
value
yeah.
compared to the land or
Landed
the
property.
yeah. So even if you're not interested in building a house, just buy a piece of land somewhere, even if the location doesn't have potential, but with time it will appreciate its value faster. So that's the only way you can, it's one strategy that you can use to
Used to
navigate,
navigate inflation.
inflation.
Yeah,
Keep your money in such a way that, in an investment that is, profitable with over time. Yeah, because inflation is something even, governments, or probably in the US, even in the UK, it's very hard to control. So the only way is just for you to invest in real estate. If you see most of, like, for example, Ricky Ross, and this Mark Tyson or whatever, most of them invest their money in real estate, because as time goes on, you will get tired, you will retire, from your work. So if you buy that piece of land, you know the day you buy the piece of land, the next day it will start appreciating its value. So if you invest probably 1 or 2 million naira in a piece of land, I will tell you, with over time, after a year, you can get double of it, or probably, three times of that money.
thank
Yeah.
you, thank you, thank you very much. So we're still going to continue with other. We have three more questions to ask in this first episode. If it's what you're looking out for, please stay tuned. Going on to the third question, I don't know if you guys have any questions or you have a few comments or what has helped you in the past. Just let us know in the comment section, and I will be reading, he will be reading, and also other viewers also will be reading. So the third question will be that what role does emergency savings play in financial resilience, and how can people build and maintain it? I'm just going to simplify it. Like, what role does having like a backup plan? What do you think what's that role that it plays in having that emergency savings, and what do you think is the duration? How long should you have? What should be your emergency savings go back to? It should be 3 months. Or should you have saved up to 6 months or a year or 2 months? What do you think?
Um, Me myself, I have an account,
Mm-hmm.
I call emergency safety net, you
Okay.
know. So that account, I have discipline with regards, you know, because the word emergency simply means like when something comes up that you need to solve,
Yeah.
there is no way you can just escape it.
Mm-hmm.
You really need to solve it. So you should not just make unnecessary withdrawals from that savings. You know, probably if if somebody within your family that is very close to you sick, then you can take money from that
Yeah.
emergency safety net account, but you should not make unnecessary withdrawals because life itself you cannot predict the
Yeah.
future.
It's a risk in
Anything can
itself.
happen. So something emergency cannot happen to you at the end of the day. Probably the months have not ended for you to receive salary. You know, you have to be making calls, calling people. You know, so the best way is for you to have an emergency savings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the word emergency, you have to be disciplined enough because you take note and of the word emergency. Only emergency issues that you can make withdrawals from that
Withdrawals.
saving, and it's not an investment
Yeah.
savings you are doing. It's for
It's
emergency.
for emergency. So
Yeah, so that's the only way you can cut down and probably or you can be financially secured in
yeah,
terms
to
of.
an extent, I really agree because even at the moment, I do not have an emergency savings account. Savings account. That's a good way and also a bad way in a way. Good thing you have one. I think going on like before the second quarter of the year and try and get one. That's because, of course, I had like loads of expenses previously. But I think it's also very important, especially if you're living in a country where perhaps the healthcare is not really good, or it might not even be related to health, but it might be related to something that would be very financial intensive that you would need funds for. So it's very important to have that emergency savings account. Thank you for answering that. So my fourth question will be that what are the benefits and the disadvantage of different investment options? So for example, like investment options, you can talk about that and then what are the benefits and disadvantages, but more specifically for young people. Yeah. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, it's very necessary for young people, to invest.
Mm-hmm.
In the UK here, we have lots of investment options.
Okay.
Even in Nigeria, you know,
How about
um,
Sierra Leone? Do they have investment
yes, they
options
have
there?
lots of investment options. But this few that I will mention, probably in Nigeria, for example, Nigeria have stock markets, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to degrade Sierra Leone, but Sierra Leone don't have stock markets, and
At all?
everybody
Not at
using,
all.
yeah, yeah, they don't have stock market. Probably I'll be the one that will establish a stock market. Yeah.
Okay. Amen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Nigerians, most Nigerians youths, they they should invest in stocks. Even the iPhone. If you check your phone now, you'll see even your accounts, Revolut, they will advise you to buy
Buy
stocks. You
stock.
can even buy from stocks like Apple, and also you can even invest in you know like what I mentioned before, which is for people that are not literate enough to understand the stock market. You can invest in real
Real
estate,
estate.
yeah, which is land
But that's why
property.
most people actually, because they really do not understand the stock market, they just kind of focus more on housing to an extent. Do
Yeah,
you
yeah,
buy
yeah,
into
yeah,
that
yeah,
perspective?
exactly. But the thing is, why you should also invest in stock market. I will advise people to invest in stock market because this is something that you have control over. Yeah, even at your workplace, you can just take a look at your phone. You'll see the stock market with regards to the particular company you invest in. How
Yeah,
you
so there's
can be
that
able to tell,
flexibility
yeah,
to check at any time.
yeah,
But another aspect to look at, there are also brokers, there are people that manage
yeah,
like
yeah,
stocks
exactly.
that you can actually reach out to whatever country, you just need to type and check or ask for friends that are actually into stocks already. It's quite a
even
great gray area for some
yeah,
people, but it's doable. It's actually doable.
yeah, because even banks, banks serve as an intermediary between
Yeah.
the surplus and the deficit. So the money that you are depositing to
Mm-hmm.
the bank to
Mm-hmm.
save, the bank is using that money. They invest in these stocks, you know,
True.
and
True.
then they give out loan to individuals.
True.
That's how they
True.
generate money. So your money will just be sitting there, and then they will just give you a little
A
interest.
little interest.
And
Yeah.
probably the interest rates for that particular country might be low. And then, especially if you are saving in local
Local
currency,
currency.
the exchange rates will also affect your savings. So instead of the bank save your money and then invest it, you know, you yourself invest your own money, and then probably you might be using the bank for just transaction
Transaction
purposes. And then,
purposes.
yeah, and then you save your profits,
I agree.
but at least you should have an investment,
I
you know.
agree. I agree. So, final question will be that I know there are some misconceptions around credit scores, and for the UK here, where we're living at the moment, there's some misconceptions around having. Is there a need to have a credit score or a good credit score? Is there even a need to get a credit card? Like, what's your perspective about um misconceptions about credit scores and providing tips for improve them? How do you improve your credit score? But the first question will be, what are the misconceptions, and the follow-up question will be um, providing tips for increasing your credit score.
um People um thinks that high income will increase your credit score. No, it
Okay.
doesn't necessarily mean that because I'm receiving high salary, meaning my credit score will be high. And then if you don't take anything on credit that you are paying probably monthly,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, you won't have any credit record like credit history. It won't show your credit worthiness. So no matter, so people miss, um, things that probably because I'm receiving high income, I'll have high credit score. No, it doesn't work like
yes. It
that.
doesn't work that way.
So for you to build your credit score, you have to take something on credit, and then you have to make sure. Probably, let's say, I'm paying for this phone. Probably you take this phone on credit.
Yeah,
I'm paying for this phone on the
instrumentally.
26th of every month. You have to make sure there is money in your account on the
Yeah,
26th of every month, because it's a direct debit. They will just withdraw the money
yeah,
from your account. So if the institution that you loan the phone from, that you are paying bit by bit,
yeah,
on probably the payment time
yeah.
reaches, and then there's no money in your account, this will reduce your
Your
credit
credit
score.
score.
Yeah, yeah. And then probably if you are receiving high income, and then you didn't take anything on credit, then there is no improvement on your credit score. So you have to take something, you know, on a loan or probably credit card that you're using, and then you have to be faithful. Every month you make sure you
Yeah,
pay.
no default.
Yeah. So
No
that
default.
will
No
increase
default.
or improve your credit score.
No,
Yeah.
no, no default. So, aside phone, what exactly do you think, for in this case, you advise for students and you advise for people that just finished, that actually studying in the UK? What do you think they can buy or purchase, or is it just based on what they need that
No,
they
it,
should
it
buy?
doesn't necessarily mean that you should purchase something. You can go to the bank and then take a credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So probably at start they will check your credit history, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and if you don't have good credit history,
Mm-hmm.
then they will not give you the card. But if you have, probably you're working and then you show your income, they will give you the credit card. Then you can be using that credit card. It can even help you, because once you are using credit card, you cannot withdraw money. You just use it to spend.
Yeah.
So at least you'll be able to save your money, instead
Yeah.
of just sending money to people randomly, you know.
Yeah.
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 So it's good for everybody to have a very good credit score. It's good. It will show, because the basic thing about credit score, it
Mm-hmm.
shows your credit worthiness.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it shows your credit worthiness. That's why.
Yeah. So, guys, this is the first episode of this particular finance video, personal finance video. We'll be having the part two. So, please stay tuned for it. If this is your first time seeing this video, please like, please share, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.